Now with us is the former NATO Supreme Allied Commander, retired General Wesley Clark. Welcome back, General Clark. How serious do you think President Trump is in terms of hitting, especially Russian oil, which would be, we were having an economic conversation a few minutes ago, possibly a big deal?
Well, it would be a big deal if he's serious about it, Connell, but it's not clear that he's serious. Look, we all understand Putin's game plan. He wants to take over Ukraine. He can do it by fighting. He can do it by diplomacy. He can do it by discouraging and causing chaos in the Ukrainian government by throwing out the president and calling for elections, and everybody gets all confused, and then the military fighting keeps going. He can do it by saying there's a ceasefire, but then violating it, and then causing Zelensky to get in trouble with Trump. He's got multiple. This is like a sandbox, and he's got lots of toys in the sandbox, including his military. He just called for another 165,000 call up for the Russian military. So this is a long way from being resolved. We just have to face that.
Yeah, he just called up, to your point, the 160,000 plus today. I saw that. And even Trump, it seems to me, General Clark, has a number of options if he's really playing with all of his cards, to use his own term. I was looking what he said specifically, if Russia and I are unable to make a deal on stopping the bloodshed, and if I think it was Russia's fault, which it might not be, but if I think it was Russia's fault, I'm going to put secondary tariffs on the oil. So could easily say, well, I looked at it and it's not really their fault, that kind of thing, right? So it's the same thing on both. You know, we've played this game before.
Yeah, the truth is, if Putin wanted to stop the war, if he really wanted to stop it, he just has to stop fighting. Just tell his artillery, stop shooting, stop firing missiles, stop shooting drones into Ukraine. Just stop it. But he doesn't want to stop it. What he wants to do is use the diplomacy as another avenue of attack to weaken Ukraine, to weaken Western resolve, to cut off assistance to Ukraine so Ukraine will crumble and fall into his hand. That's the game. Now, President Trump wants to bring a solid diplomatic achievement. But the problem with this is that when you want a diplomatic achievement really bad, it's to get a good achievement. So you've got one participant who still wants to fight and thinks he's winning. You've got the other one who's desperate for U.S. support and is afraid to lose. So it's easy to lean on Zelensky. But President Trump has to be very careful in this, because if he does lean on Zelensky, like he did when he cut off the intelligence and so forth, and Russia takes a big bite out of Ukraine, look, he's not going to get the Nobel Peace Prize if Ukraine falls apart in the middle of peace negotiations. And really, if he wants to really put pressure on Russia, amp up the military assistance to Ukraine. Make it known. Go back to your European partners and say, you know what, we're going to work harder with you. We're going to make Ukraine stronger. Let the onus fall on Putin to say, oh my gosh, what's that going to mean to me? Look, just like the Biden administration went to sanctions, is like, well, we don't want to do military, but let's sanctions.
Right.
So now President Trump is saying, well, we don't want to do military, but let's talk about a tariff on oil. Look, it's very soft language. But President Trump knows that people are being killed each day in Ukraine, including civilians being killed. So I think if he really wants a solution, he's got to get very serious about this, and that means putting real military pressure on Russia.
All right. Well, one more thing on Russia then, because you talked about it, how Putin, looks at this and sees it, I suppose, as a long game of sorts. There was an interesting interview over the weekend. Alexander Dugin is this guy who's, I guess, a philosopher, but they call him Putin's brain. That's how he's always been known. He's on Fareed Zakaria's show. And he made some comments about the election here in the U.S. being a turning point, and how Putinism has kind of won in the United States, here, not in Russia, but in the United States. Here's a little bit more of that. Listen.
We have the different United States, not the stronghold and the headquarter of globalism, but the kind of sovereign national state, global power with traditional values as well, with totally different agenda on the level on the international affair. And in these new conditions, I think that Putin's Russia and Putin personally stops to be the main enemy, the main evil guy, bad guy.
Yeah, so Putin's Russia is not the main enemy. Again, this is the guy they say is the brains behind Putin, or, you know, his philosophical mentor, or whatever you want to say. Your thoughts?
We have to understand that in the United States, we believe in individual freedom and individual liberty, and we believe that the state is there, the government's there to help people. In Russia, it's sort of the opposite. The state is there to survive, and it will use up whatever people are necessary. And that means throwing convicts into the fight, mobilizing people who don't speak Russian very well, and so forth. It's the difference between people who went through the Enlightenment in the 16th, 17th, 18th century, and people who lived under an empire that was afraid of the Mongols all their time. We've got to bring Russia and Putin into the 21st century. They're not there yet.
That's a good way of putting it and looking at it. Good analogy. Thanks, General. As always, General Clark with us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.